found her love for writing at a very young age. 7 years ago, she decided to not waste time to make her mark with her debut urban fiction novel, Truth Hurts. Now she's back with her follow-up classic, The Arrangement, due for release this fall. Please, 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 without further ado, welcome to the show, Miss Shay Gray in the house. Hey, Shay.
Hey.
Welcome to our show. It is a pleasure having you here. The chat room is filling up with guests. Shouts out to everybody in the chat room. Shouts out to also YJ in the chat room and the callers that we have waiting on the line. If you want to speak to Shay, you know her, you want to know her, you got a question you want to ask her about her literary works that we're going to be talking about tonight, dial the number 917-932-1078. If you're already online, just hit the number 1 button, and I will see your hand raised. Now, Shay, thank you for hanging out with us tonight, lady.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, I'm going to get things started. You know, I got to ask you this. We talked about this earlier, that your love for writing came at an early age. Now, you know, I got to ask political questions sometimes, but nowadays kids are more and more likely, or less likely, to want to write anything. So just, do you have any, are there any ideas or processes that you believe we can focus on to get our kids back interested in writing, Shay?
Well, first of all, you have to take and put the fun into writing, because sometimes when you think of it, most kids think of writing as schoolwork, and they're not going to always want to do it. Writing for me was fun. It was something I could do, even if you get a child to journal their thoughts or just tell them to make up a story, a place they want to be when they grow up, or just anything. Make it fun, and then that way it encourages them to want to do it more.
Well, outstanding advice, and I appreciate that for Shay. Hey, we're going to go ahead and go to a phone. I don't usually go this early, but, hey, this person is chimed in. We want them to be able to have a voice before I get carried away and start talking. So we're going to bring this person on the line. 567 is the area code. Last 4 digits is 9801. I believe that's somewhere out in the West Coast. Welcome to the show. You're speaking with Shay Gray, the author. Who may I ask is calling?
Yes, this is E, and I am from the Midwest, not the West Coast. I would love to be there.
Outstanding. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Glad to be here.
You have a question for Shay?
Yes, I wanted to ask a question for Shay. I wanted to find out what was your inspiration and the book Truth Hurts. What was it based on?
What was my inspiration for writing?
Your inspiration,
I want to say my mom was my inspiration, because she used to write and make up poems, and I thought it was kind of neat how she would put things together, and so I decided to try it on my own, but I'm not good at the poetry part of things. I found that my imagination is very vivid, and I like to put characters together because I can control them, and yeah, I do. I'll admit I have a little controlling streak inside of me, so since I can't control the world, I can control the characters in my book, so that kind of led to me wanting to write something about someone's life and make them do whatever I wanted to. And as far as Truth Hurts, that book came off the top of my head. I really don't know where I pulled her from. She just came from nowhere. I got the name, and then I kind of followed with the situation, and it flowed from there. And I kind of threw a lot of different experiences I might have had or someone I know had, and I just put it all together, and that's how I developed that book.
Now, will there be a continuation to that book? Because that was, it felt like it left you hanging.
Yes, it will be a continuation. At first, I was just going to leave it alone, but even after 5 years, again, the character, she stayed with me. She stayed in my head. Every time I would go back, I would think about her. So, yes, there will be a part 2 to the first book.
Well, I appreciate that Midwesterner calling in. Hey, thank you so much for giving out those questions. Good questions, by the way. I didn't even have those on the list. I got 800 more, but I didn't have those. Hey, so thanks for calling in. Again, if you want to ask a question, all you got to do is dial 917-932-1078. Hit the number 1 button, and you'll be able to speak to Shay Gray, the author. Man, I love your story of how you finally got the nerve to submit your writing. I believe it was a short story, if I remember the story correct. You were more than just an average Joe when it comes to writing. When did you discover that? Can you tell that story you kind of gave me a little bit earlier?
Well, the beginning of writing and getting noticed for me happened when I was reading a book. I'm a very avid reader. I read everything just about. And I just happened to be reading a book, and in the back it had a call for submissions. And my sister happened to read the same exact book, and I told her about the submission call. And so she is the one who pushed me to do it. And I was like, okay, what do I have to lose? If they say no, they say no. So I came up with a short story because that's what they were looking for. Just any old story. I just made it up off the top of my head. Like I said, I have a very vivid imagination. And I sent it to them. I waited. I bit my fingernails. I did everything. Like, oh, I'm not hearing from them. They may not like it. And then shortly afterward, I got an email saying they loved the story. They want to buy the story from me and put it inside of an anthology. So that was the very first start when I had my first short story published. And then once that happened, they gave me a publishing deal.